What's going on, everybody? This is Franco reporting for Hear Me Out podcast. And joining me today is friend of the show, Christian Santos.
Hi, everybody.
So, Kanye West just came out recently, said that the economy is working for him better than how the economy was under Obama for real estate, and that's why he's going to support Trump for the 2020 presidential race. Christian Santos is a big fan of Kanye West. Um, Kristen, tell everybody how much of a fan you are of Kanye West, how much he means to you.
I feel like Kanye has changed not only the rap genre, but he's also changed just music in general. A lot of people dislike him for the cockiness and for him calling himself Walt Disney, Steve Jobs. But if you really pay attention to what he's saying, you can actually hear, some truth to what he's talking about. He believes that we need to evolve not only artistically but as a human race, and the way that he contributes to human progression is by changing art. Um, he comes from a really like he comes from a really strong artistic background. Just recently, they found some art that was for sale, that was auctioned off, of when he was about 16, 17 years old. And at that age, he had already actually studied internationally. He was actually an art student in China, and he got like accepted to college early. And so, his story is, it's in his music. His college dropout album, his late registration album, his graduation album. Everything is a story. Like he literally did drop out of college, and then he went back to college, and then he graduated college, and all of this has a theme sort of surrounded around his mom, who was a big influence on him. She was the first African American English professor at the University of Chicago, and which is actually what Kanye got his bachelor's degree in. That's what he majored in, was English. So you can know that that helped him a lot in his rap
Mm.
career. But um, I feel like he's a big influential person in the arts, and also in just pop culture in general. You think about Kanye, everybody knows Kanye. He's obviously not Michael Jackson. My mom might not know him, but here, people my age, my generation, we've all been influenced by Kanye in one way or another. Either because you hate him, you love him, or you've heard his music before. And he continues to be an influential person. And he, I love his music. Hands down, one of the best lyrics I've ever heard. Comparable to like probably like one of the greatest rappers of all time. But not only that, he produces most of his tracks. He mixes all of it. He's the engineer behind his music, which most people don't do. Most people don't realize that a rapper is a rapper, and that's it. Like, they have the lyrics, they get a beat from a producer, and then they send the music out to the engineer, and the engineer mixes it. There's a process. Kanye's involved in every single step of that process. He started off as a producer. He engineered music. He was Jay Z's like main producer for his albums, and and that's what gives him the advantage. He can write music for for his sounds, and he says he can see music, like
Mm.
like he dreams in music, like it's something that most people don't really aren't able to do. The only other person that was actually like saying things like that was Michael Jackson.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And so maybe go sit down. I'll be done. And so Michael Jackson was an influential artist as well. So, to compare to Michael Jackson is a stretch, but I feel like what he's doing in art and pop culture is huge. And I don't think anyone right now is doing that. And so that's why I'm such a fan, not only of his music, but of him himself. I've written papers on him in
Mm.
college. I've gotten a good grade. I've written several, things about him. And most people that I feel share the same sort of like for Kanye, they they all kind of think alike. They all
Mm.
think of Kanye as some sort of, philosopher in a way, and it's all art related. But at the same time, like art controls a lot of human behavior. We all listen to music, we all look at art, we all enjoy movies, films, TV shows. Art is a big part of our culture, and for someone to be able to influence that, that's huge.
So your political ideology aligns more with which presidential candidate of 2020 who ran?
Um, Bernie Sanders all day. I've been a Bernie fan since Bernie, first popped up. When I first started hearing about him, I was like, oh my God, this is our Messiah. Like this is the person that we need so badly right now. Like someone that not only talks the talk but walks the walk. Like you can look at his history in politics and what he's done, what he's tried to like campaign for. Everything is true. Like Bernie is a solid like what you see is what you get kind of person. And I feel like there's no other candidate like that. Everyone else has some sort of hidden agenda. Everyone else is trying to you know give you false promises. And I feel like um, Bernie has one goal and one goal only, and that's to, you know, basically, establish some sort of, help for people that are, not as basically. He's trying to stick it to the man, and
Hmm.
I'm like 100% stick it to the man. Like I don't like big corporations. I feel like greed is probably one of the worst things that America has. I feel like if greed wasn't an American thing, we'd be a way more well-off country. But that's what comes with money. We're one of the richest countries in the world, but we have one of the worst healthcare systems. We have one of the worst infrastructures when it comes to public safety, when it comes to anything that's publicly available or free, basically, right? Because all of these public services are supposed to be free. They're lacking. And
Hmm.
how can that be possible in one of the world's richest countries? It just doesn't make sense, and it's
The
all because
world's
it's
richest
greed.
country,
We are the richest country in the world.
richest in history. So, what are your thoughts on, Kanye West? You admire him so much. He's influenced your life a lot, and then he aligns himself more with Donald Trump politically. So, what are your thoughts on that?
So obviously, there's a big contrast between Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, and my political ideology aligns with Bernie Sanders. So you could think, how can you support someone who supports a man like that? And the truth is simple. Trump said a lot of negative things about my community, the Hispanic Latino community, and so I feel that that's the main reason why I dislike Donald Trump, and also the things that he's doing for big corporations as opposed to the little guys, which is really the majority of our population. Um, I don't believe that Kanye West is a Donald Trump fan because of the negative racist things that Donald Trump has said about the Latino community. I feel that the reason why he is a Donald Trump fan is because Donald Trump is not your average political figure, and for him to become a president is just unfathomable. Someone who was a reality TV star, someone who has a super shady background and has all these allegations against him. You would think this man can never become president. So the the next person to support him would be someone like Kanye West, someone who is against the grain, someone who doesn't like to follow the trend. He likes to set his own trend. He likes to become and create like his own thing, and which is what has made Kanye Kanye. 808s is a type of sound that wasn't as big at the time. If you listen to older rap music like 50 Cent, Eminem, you'll hear you'll hear there's a bass sound, and it's really subtle. And so my friend, little previous affiliate of Hear Me Out podcast, Dennis Vasquez Brady, aka Brady,
Hmm.
he's a huge music fanatic. He's a huge artist, and I'm actually I love art and I love to enjoy it. I love film, I love TV, I love music, but I'm not an artist at all, which is really funny. I can't drop to save my life. I can't play any instruments, but I love to enjoy what other people create. So I feel like in a way I'm sort of like, like more attracted to it because I'm like, oh, I can't do that, but like someone else can, so I can enjoy that. So Dennis, he's a huge artist. He can play multiple instruments. He can draw really well, and so he knows a lot about sound and music and things like that. So he actually told me about 808s and how the music industry back then didn't really use it that much. And then when Kanye released 808s and Heartbreak, um, his fourth album, it was a huge game changer. Auto tune, the bass sound, the way things sound, the all the electronic like components, like you never heard that in rap. He basically he changed the game.
Hmm.
That was like a turning point in music, and a lot of people don't realize that. Obviously, Kanye fans do, and we acknowledge it, which is why we know. But nobody was doing that. Absolutely nobody was doing that. Maybe next to T Pain, nobody else is using auto tune. Now you hear Travis Scott. Now you hear all these new rappers coming out like Lil Uzi Vert, and I mean, truth be told, these are the new rock stars. You know, these Lil Uzi Verts, Travis Scott, Young Thug. This is the new generation of rock stars.
Right.
It's not Kiss anymore. It's not Guns N' Roses anymore. It's not Axl. Like it's basically it's all these new rappers. They know this. They know that the music they're making is not supposed to inspire you, or it's just supposed to make you feel happy. You're supposed to go to a concert and have the best time of your life, and that's why this generation, they're not looking for lyrics anymore. But this generation of new rap music, I feel like wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Kanye, if it wasn't for him changing something. So I feel like Kanye, in a way, he sees Trump as the same sort of person. He's someone that's not part of the establishment. He's someone that came, far right field, came in and swooped to victory, and like nobody thought that was going to
Yeah.
happen, right? Like everyone thought, like, oh, like it's gonna go in order. Like, yeah, we had Bill Clinton, we had Obama, we had this person. Now it's Hillary's turn. Like, yeah, that's just the way it goes. That's the next step. That's how it's supposed to be. You know.
Yeah.
And so Kanye is a big fan of what it's not supposed to be. He's a big fan of evolution. He's a big fan of changes, and I feel like that's the only way we can evolve as humans is to keep changing. We have to adapt to changes. Like that's part of survival. Back
Hmm.
down to like a microscopic like cell. A cell will know and learn to freaking adapt and change to its surroundings, and then it'll generate a different new mutation. That's literally what we as humans need to do to continue to survive. We can't stay stagnant. And so, if Kanye supports Donald Trump, I don't think that it's because of Donald Trump's, you know, bigotry, racism, whatever you can call it, which is why I didn't vote for Donald Trump. He said a lot of. I feel like he used his platform to attack a group of people who is vulnerable, who doesn't have anyone to defend them. There's no big names in, not a lot of big Latino names in the political game. And if there is, they're not supporting, the huge immigration population that exists in the U.S. Like it's like we're shadows or something. The cleaning lady at your office, the worker that's cooking your food right now in this like pandemic, like they're not a shadow, they're a real person. And they're the ones literally the backbone of this country, which is why I'm such a Bernie fan. You
Hmm.
know, I feel like the little people are the ones that keep the gears and have been keeping this country alive for such a long time. This country is built off of immigration. All these Europeans that came from Germany, that came from England, like this country is literally a country of immigrants. You know, and so I feel like Kanye is not supporting that side of Donald Trump. And I also feel, in a way, that Donald only used that as a way to basically get votes. He kind of like sparked a new wave of racism in the country that we didn't really see. Like the last time you heard the word beaner was like, maybe 10 years ago, 10, 20 years ago. You didn't really hear that, and now it's like illegal immigrant is like a slur. And it's like it's weird to think about how how easily a a group of people can be influenced no matter what kind of educational background you have, whatever the case may be. You can be susceptible to someone changing your mind and creating a different person that you actually are. And so the reason why Kanye supports Trump, to my knowledge, is the economic growth that he sees coming from Trump. And I know that taxes changed. Trump is basically supporting the richest people in the country right now, which I don't agree on. And he might have been increasing the country's economic growth, but at the same time, it's just creating the wealth gap bigger and bigger. He's supporting people that are already rich.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? Money go there. There's only a certain amount of money. It's either going to go here, or it's going to go there. Even though it's being generated more and more, it's still going to go to the richest people in the world. Like over from this COVID-19 pandemic, I think Jeff Bezos' net worth increased like $51 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. So
And you know what the
I feel like
unemployment is right now, right? As of today,
no, I
just
don't.
hit 22 million. That's unfathomable. So, yeah, like I guess the point we're trying to make is that we go to artists just for music, right? We don't go to artists for political advice,
Right.
right? Their intellect is in art. If you
Right.
want to listen to some political intellect, you can go on listen to some indie media on YouTube or on Rockfin. Um, and the thing is also to remember is that these artists and all these people in Hollywood, like these people are millionaires. They're out of touch with the working class people and what their struggles are. So your situation, especially your economic situation, is not the same as these artists. So they're going to have a different view of the world than what you are.
Absolutely.
And I will say that in this article here, Kanye West did say something that was true. Kanye West said that we don't go to school to learn how to get property. We go to school to learn how to be someone else's property. So that's what he's going at. Like we don't go to school to learn how to get homes, how to invest. So for somebody who invested like Kanye West, like the economy is working for him, but what he's not seeing is that just because he made it out, other people aren't gonna make it out like him. But then again, look, he's an artist, he's a millionaire, he's looking at it from his point of view. Um, don't take political advice from artists. Just admire them for the work that they do, which is music.
Right. I mean, but then at the same time, that kind of goes back to I don't remember. I don't know if you remember the LeBron James fiasco, where it was play your game and stay in your lane.
Yeah.
You know, these people, they have huge influences on a lot of people. You know, one of them became a president.
Yeah.
So you know that what they say can influence a lot of people. So if Kanye becomes a Trump fan and Kanye has all these Kanye West fans, what's going to happen? You're going to get a lot of new Trump supporters. So in a way, you're right. They are out of touch to reality, but not everyone is the same. There's like, for example, I feel like J. Cole, another rapper, millionaire person. And also we have Colin Kaepernick, and the reason why I'm pulling in like sports
Yeah.
people into this
And Justin
is
Jackson, who are like very
the,
consciously aware of the
right.
system that is affecting working class people.
Yeah, so there are people like Kanye for sure, and his wife. They don't know the daily struggles of someone who is making $20,000 a year, maybe less. Like,
Yeah.
so they probably never have. There's people that maybe came from there, who are now millionaires, and they can understand like, okay, like I was here, and I remember what it was like,
Yeah.
and I can relate to this person. Not everyone's like that. So we shouldn't be taking political advice from millionaires. Um, but I feel like if you feel that something aligns with you, um,
Or like
and someone that,
if they prove that they are knowledgeable in politics, right?
yeah, yeah, I mean, like Colin Kaepernick, he was a millionaire. He came from a really well off background, and for some reason, he still felt the need to, support the Black Lives Matter
Yeah.
movement by protesting the American flag, no matter what the consequences were. So that's an example of someone who you would expect to be out of touch with reality because he came from a good background, because he's probably never been racially profiled the way that the people that he was supporting has been. So there are people out there. There are Colin Kaepernicks. There are
Justin
J.
Jackson's.
Cole's.
Yeah, but these are people that prove themselves to understand the struggles of working class people. But
Right.
for someone like Kanye West who made it out of who enriched himself in another decade, like now 3 decades ago, like going to the 90s is when he made it out.
Right.
Things are very different now. The income inequality is much bigger now than it used to be. It's a lot harder for people to make it out today than it was back in the 90s. Um, so that he's the exception. He's not the rule for an American dream story, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All
Yeah. I
right.
mean, he's not. I mean, to judge someone's background, it's a big deal. Like we don't all come from the same, families and economic backgrounds, things like that. So it's hard to judge someone when, especially like Kanye, someone that didn't come from a poor background, someone that traveled internationally for school, someone whose family is really educated and has their own name for themselves. Um, he's definitely out of touch, but at the same time, I can understand why he
Yeah,
supports Donald
yeah,
Trump.
yeah. And that's the important thing. You can understand their position without having to agree with it. Right?
Yeah,
You can
for sure.
disagree, but you can understand. And that is the
Yeah,
key for having unity. And it's also important for
absolutely.
people to remember that Donald Trump, he's not the problem. He's a symptom of the problem, of a much bigger systemic issue, which is money in politics. Corporations buying off politicians. And that's why throughout the decades, corporately owned Democrat and Republican presidents have paved the way and exacerbated things year by year, and that's how we got to where we are now, and why people were desperate enough to vote for somebody who's offering them jobs like how Donald Trump was. So, are there any last things you want to say, Christian, before we close off here?
Um, Besides Free Joe Exotic,
Yeah.
um, I just want to say that you know we shouldn't judge Kanye for supporting Donald Trump. I don't think Kanye is a racist or a bigot like some Donald Trump supporters are, and I also don't think that we should judge people for supporting Donald Trump because they might not support him for the reason that we might think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've met people who, were close friends to me and supported Donald Trump, and they voiced their opinion on me about him. And it's just I can understand. It's all about change, and that's one of Kanye's main goals is to see some sort of change, to see something different. And what more different can you get as a president than someone like Trump? So I can understand why he supports him. I'm more of a Bernie fan. Bernie's history in politics and his current stand on what it is more my tune.
Yeah.
But I am and always will be a Kanye fan, no matter what.
There you go, folks. Thank you so much for watching. If you're feeling generous, please help us out through Patreon. Even $1 a month helps us out. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day. Thanks for watching that segment of Hear Me Out. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below so you can get the latest on sports, pop culture, and progressive politics. Stay informed. Alright. Favorite Kanye song?
Devil in a New Dress.
Favorite Kanye album?
Can I give you top three?
Sure.
Graduation, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and Jesus.
Favorite Kanye beat?
Beat? Like from a song?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's gotta be off the Jesus album. Send It Up. Good Life and Graduation. Oh, that's a tough one, man. That's a hard one.
Favorite
So
Kanye
many.
lyric?
Lyric?
Yeah.
Damn. No one man should have all that power.
Favorite Kanye feature?
Oh, just recently, Lil Uzi Vert on the Watch song, but he's featured on that, so that's not his song. I guess on his own song, best feature, Rick Ross's verse on Devil in a New Dress. That's why it's my favorite. Oh my god, that song is incredible from top to bottom, dude. Oh